Kahal Yahweh by Shem Yahushai by Shem Rakakadash, Brakti Yahweh, Brakti Yahushai, Brakda Rakakadash. I'm going to give double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone that continue to teach me this truth and who will well. Shalom. I don't know how I got to this page. Did I click something? That wasn't the article I wanted. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see if we can find it. Damn, man, I really lost it. Let's just go look up China. Um, Here we go. So, U.S. ban on investing in Chinese companies has the opposite effect. It strengthens China and diverts money from Wall Street. If I didn't say it already, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Thank you to you, teach me this truth and who will well. Shalom. So here we are. American sanctions against Chinese companies set to slow down the country's development. Short-sighted decisions that don't constitute a long-term strategy to maintain U.S. technological dominance. We're gonna go down. So pretty much the U.S. Because of those Trump era bans on China that you saw in the beginning of the so-called pandemic, they cut off a lot of Chinese-owned apps because there was a lot of apps in the app store that were Chinese-owned that people really didn't know about. And the Chinese posed to be a security threat because of the theory that they created COVID. When the reality is that all these nations came together and created this thing. They all have stakes in these big companies. The highest of the highest, the biggest elites of this world. They all work together in those high-level illuminated one ceremonies. They all get together and they all know what's up, man. They work together. This ban and has since been deleted. Yeah, we're not gonna really read about that. Yep. This is what I really want to go into. In this case, whilst the Biden administration wants to try and slow down China's technological development with this latest ban, the fact is negligent. All this manages to achieve in practice is to strengthen China's own financial center prospects by lulling third-party capital away from New York City and into Shanghai and Hong Kong. This effectively isolates America, makes its global scope smaller, whilst the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and the like are behemoths, which that's used to look at stock market performance. I just looked that up. What happens when the Shanghai composite matures over the years and grows? It's had been a bumpy ride with some market bulls in the past, but its trend is on the up. This all goes to show that these are short-sighted decisions, and they don't constitute a long-term strategy to maintain American technological dominance. Hysteria with China and desperation to appear tough is not a substitute for staying on top. Which this has a lot of fear-mongering in it and whatever, but what they're talking about is how the U.S. is starting to become isolated. Countries have stopped using the U.S. federal banknote, the dollar. They stopped using it. They're slowly starting to isolate the U.S., which the U.S. is going to be cut off and be the main place to be destroyed. All these countries, they're going to kind of start to splinter off. They're going to attack the U.S. and betray it. And these countries that are left are going to fight amongst themselves, man. Let's get some scriptures, man. I really mainly want to go into those councils, man, that these guys had planned. Which I'm not going to really go into these two things, too, the Dow Jones and S&P. Basically, those just, they look at those biggest companies in America and New York, domestic-owned companies, and they kind of use averages from them to see, domestic stock market performance. So this is Psalms chapter 83, verse 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, of Moab and the Hagarians, Gebal and Adam and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur is also joined with them. They have Hopin, the children of Lot, Salah. Okay, so pretty much in this time period, this is King David talking. All these nations are starting to rise against him. Those Philistines, they started to ally themselves against us to try to cut us off, man. And this is also prophecy of what happened later on. Pretty much the entire world is against us, man. We got the Japanese, the Chinese, the Americans, the Arabs, the so-called Arabs, Ishmaelites, and these Edomites. Of course, the Edomites are our chief enemy. They all are banded together under the illuminated ones to, keep our people down, to confuse us, and to keep our people in darkness. This is Matthew chapter 24, verse 7. I always got to bring this one out. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. That's what's coming, man. These nations are gonna fight against each other. And kingdom's gonna be against kingdom, of course, because these nations are gonna fight and nuke each other and blow each other up. There's gonna be those famines and those pestilences, because no one's gonna be around to really care for the land. And there's gonna be those earthquakes, man. Those nuclear bombs, and just earthquakes in general, man. And I want to go into this real quick. Proxy wars. So I'm gonna read this. A proxy war is an armed conflict between two states or non-state actors which acts on the instigation or on behalf of other parties that are not directly involved in hostilities. And you see this picture here, which I'm not exactly familiar with the country that's the plane, but I'm sure it's some Middle Eastern country, But as you can see here, he has a puppet in the Arab, the Taliban, man, because the U.S. Funds those guys, man. I was mostly talking about the Afghanistan war, where the U.S. was mainly going against Russian-backed troops, and they used their own, U.S.-backed rebels. Fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what that was about, man. But as you see, you got a bunch of pictures of proxy wars. So pretty much, that's what our country does, man. They get people in other nations to go fight their wars for them, man. They'll hire Talibans, or they'll hire private military companies such as Blackwater, and they'll have them go in there and go and do the killing for them, and they'll just sit back and watch. And that's what they did to Jake as well, man. They would hire Jakes to go fight against other Jakes. I guess you can, you go in the book of Matthew towards the end, like the 26th, 27th chapter, the Edomites, the Romans, using the Pharisees and the scribes against our own people, having our people fight amongst themselves, is an example of a proxy war. Maybe a one-sided proxy war, but still. Obadiah 1 verse 2, and behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. That's going back to those curses. Okay, ignore that minor interruption. As always, man. I gotta get the fuck out, man. I'm gonna get my money right, and then I'm out. I can't do it with my mom no more. Living here and shit, being that fucking treated like a child, man. I'm too old for this shit. Moving on. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 2. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Going back to those curses, man. We are made small among the heathen, man. And so that's why they can do these things. And Jake doesn't even know what these stock market things are, or about the companies of the Dow or the S&P, which I really didn't know about it either, and I'm young, and no one ever really brought that up to me. But Kohala Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, by Shem Kalkadash, that Apostle Tahar, other brothers are starting to bring those things out, started to bring things about the economy out, and that's kind of got me to really look into it. This is the last chapter. This is Joel chapter 2. Verse 30. And I will shew wonders in the heavens and the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood, for the great terrible day of the Lord come. It shall come to pass that whosoever shall call upon the name of Yahweh shall be delivered. For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord hath said, and the remnant whom the Lord shall call. You know, while Yahushua is going to come back, so it doesn't really matter what their, the councils come to, which that's what these guys have. They have these think tanks. They come together and they talk. They'll meet at like one of these, I don't really know what you call it, one of these New York Senate houses or something, and they'll have talks, and they'll say, oh, we're talking about diplomatic relations, but no, in reality, man, behind closed doors, they really talking about how to screw over Jake, man, how to best control the world economy, how best to move the world. But a long time ago, maybe last year or something, Apostle Tar said that the whole COVID thing was made to collapse the Chinese economy, which that may be true, but it seems like it's also having a negative effect on the U.S. economy as well. It's really rocking the boat for everyone, and that's all their plan: rock the boat, and then usher in the jabby jab, and then start pushing out that poker chip. Get everyone feeling bad and in the dumps, and then offer your hand to save them. All right, that's back. That's it, man. I want to say all blessings be to Yahweh B'Shem, Yahweh Shai, B'Shem Ruach HaKadosh. Continue to resist temptation. Continue to resist lies. All right. My mother's friend, I guess my mother's boyfriend. He's a teacher, but he's teaching that the law doesn't exist anymore. He's teaching you can go to birthdays. He's teaching all this falsehood and heresy, man, and he's trying to bring me into that. And I told him, no, man. I said, I'm not listening to that, man. No heresy, man. All right. Stay in the faith, man. Okay. Remain in the truth, man. Endure into the end, man. Because we're gonna have that crown of life and thousands of women, concubines, man. I'm not giving that shit up for some bullshit like a birthday. Fuck that. All right. So, like, God, shalom.